The Woman in White, written by Shiro Yoke. A few years ago, me and a friend who I'll call Mark were wandering around an old village in England where we came across an old decrepit house. We were, at the time, really interested in urban exploration, and we thought we'd be able to get some great shots from inside since the house was over 300 years old and nobody lived in it. We collected a few items, torches, food and cameras from the car and headed up the drive towards the back of the house. We got some amazing pictures in the moonlight. We noticed a cellar door covered in bushes. It looked like somebody had chained the door from the outside, which we thought was weird. We headed around to the left-hand side and came across another cellar door, slightly ajar. We headed down the old stone stairs, clicking the flashlights on, and pushed the door open. It creaked when it opened, and then silence once again fell over the house. As we crept through the old basement, all of the old furniture was stored here, along with the old black and white photos of the family that once inherited this amazing building. One picture caught our attention. A woman who was amazingly beautiful sat in a quite expensive chair. We thought she must have been the owner, or at least someone very important. Capturing a few pictures on the cameras, we decided to head upstairs. The old wooden stairs creaked and moaned until one of them snapped on Mark. Regaining our composure, we headed into the hallway. The house, now empty, settled back into silence after all of the commotion until we heard a creak from upstairs. We both looked at each other and laughed. "Boo, I'm a ghost," Mark joked. We went to investigate anyway as we turned the corner to face up the stairs. She stood at the top. The woman from the picture, but her face was mangled beyond comprehension. That's when her right arm began to lift. She pointed at Mark and flew down the stairs with a scream that forced us both to cover our ears. The next thing I remember is waking up on the floor. Mark was in the corner mumbling something. I crept over, and as I placed my hand on his shoulder, Mark, his head turned, his lips covered in blood. He grinned, and a piece of flesh dropped from his teeth. He was gnawing on his arm like a trapped animal. He let out a horrible groan as he slowly stood up. Now Mark was twice the size of me. As I looked up towards his face and a quick flash of something crossed his face, what I saw was what I would call a demon's face. Beginning to fear for myself, I quickly pushed Mark as hard as I could, turned and ran towards the basement, heading down the stairs in panic. I forgot about the broken step. Tripping, I tumbled down the stairs. As I reached the bottom, I hit my head on the old table. Grabbing the side of my head, I noticed the blood straight away, but the adrenaline was flowing and my goal was to get out of that house. As I looked up the stairs, Mark stood draped in the darkness. All of a sudden, a terrified woman's voice cried out, "No!" And she began crying like someone who had just lost their child. Mark then said in his own voice as he climbed down the stairs,
"Bro, what the fuck just happened? Let's get the fuck out of here."
He grabbed my hand and pulled me up. We exited through the door and quickly headed back to the car. I don't know why, but we both turned and gave the house one last look. She was stood in the window, pointing right at us. As we went over the photos and began looking into the history of the house itself, we came across an old story of a family that used to live there. The father had come home one day and for some reason killed his wife, pushing her down the stairs. He was subsequently arrested and placed in one of the old psychiatric homes and was eventually lobotomized, as his reasoning was because his wife was a demon. The house has now been knocked down and newer homes have been rebuilt over the ground there. Apparently they just sealed off the old basement and never moved the furniture.